Good morning, I'm finally here.
He was out collecting eggs. Look at that.
I brought a boiled egg in for, our chickens are overproducing right now. So I'm eating eggs for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And for breakfast, I'm having a boiled egg and some granola bars. All right, so we got just Chad and your wife, right? Dusty's here. Dusty?
He's kind of a blur, screaming by, so.
Our main plan today is to get this ready and then get out of Chad's way and just let him just go. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna start by taking the cab off and finish by
building that panel, right?
who knows.
Whoa! Oh, not on the eggs. See, I told you this was a bad spot.
I just need to eat that thing.
Peanut, that was a close call.
I don't want you up there. I don't want you up here today, Peanut. Everything we take off, Tom, let's just put in here. I know that it's a mess in here.
All right, we'll have a little bit of everything, but it'll all be here.
It'll all be there. We're going all the way.
All right, this panel is what's going to go behind the cab. So we'll cut it down with that super noisy saw that Matt loves. What do you do to follow the line on that? Because you can't see the saw.
Yeah.
You just
So if you learn to use a guide, it will make you 200% better at straight lines than watching the blade. Watching the blade, they always go like this.
200%.
Yes, 200% better.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. 200% better. Here I go. That saw is awesome. That's probably the first time I've ever used it, and Matt was right. The guide works better.
We've got to get the brake lines measured on this, so that's what we're going to do first.
Yes, we know this isn't brake line. We're just using it
We're using it as a measurement. Okay. 136.
136?
So I have these line locks. They're electric. They're 100% duty cycle. They're DOT approved. They're not made for like parking overnight, but they will lock the brakes. We're gonna do front and rear. We're just looking to see how we're gonna mount those. I think this one we're gonna go right here, and I think we're gonna weld a bracket that comes out to this one. We'll put it in the same place. We'll go hard line to here, and then flexible Teflon brake lines to everything else. We're gonna see how that goes. I'm gonna make my first part out of cardboard because that's how we do. I'm just welding to this bracket.
All right.
So let's rotate. The question is if we can make those hard lines work. 3/16 it is. All right, we've got that kind of tacked up in place right there. Tom's gonna weld it in. Do we want to wire in a little line buzzer? I mean, I like it, but I hate the complexity. It's a nice feature because if you're on the side of a mountain, depending on it, and all of a sudden,
yeah, it doesn't.
But what is the warning? If it's a light on the dash, we won't see it anyway. It'd have to be an audible siren.
People say you need that for your fuel gauge. An audible siren.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to listen to that thing all the time. Yeah. Right. We finally got everything kind of done so that we're not in the way of Chad and Dusty. So we're just going to leave them alone in here.
Really?
Working on the record.
Really?
We're out of your hair.
Okay.
Just when you dared to care. But we're not going to stop working because we're out here working on this. You guys remember a while back, I broke the steering arm on this knuckle, and we put it back together in haste. It's been working great. It doesn't bother me a bit, but it bothers Tom, so we're going to fix it.
It's been bothering me for a long time. That was just before SEMA, so it's been like 2 or 3 months.
Yeah. All right, so Skies Off-Road Design sent us this knuckle super fast because we were supposed to work on it like 2 days later.
Okay, here we go. We're gonna tear into this side, see if we can get at least one done today.
So this goes right here, and it's ready to go. Okay. There we go. I think it's supposed to fit in the inside of that.
I think you're right.
And you're supposed to press it in afterwards.
Yeah, you gotta take that off.
Learn with us. Oh, look how easy that fits on now. Ah. Like Zorro. Don't hang on that, because... Okay, let's see here.
Right, so do we have to grind those to match exactly?
That's how I did it before.
Okay.
So before they had bolts in them,
Mm-hmm.
and I would just crush the bolts. Like, they just went away. So I made these. These are uncrushable.
Okay, so I'm just wondering how you get just the right amount of steering.
Like this.
And when do you stop? Just when you feel
when
good?
It's right, yeah. That ought to do it. I narrowed this axle when I put it in. I squared this up to the rear axle. Most trucks, the front axle's wider than the rear. Sometimes it can be up to 2 inches, 2.5 inches wider. And I wanted to square this up because there was a certain track width I was going for, and the rear was perfect and the front was a little bit too wide. So I narrowed this, not knowing the grief it was going to cause me trying to find axles for it. I don't know if I should put this on the internet, but we're gonna. So I just hacked this off really crudely, and then I finished making the splines with one of these. Zzz, zzz, zzz. And then I turned this in a lathe to get the seal surface that I needed. Fortunately, these aftermarket Yukon axles, and this is chromoly, they kind of come already, all that stuff's already done. The splines are longer, the seal area is wider, so it's kind of like they made this for hacks like me. They're like, we know you're going to improperly hack your axles, so we're going to give you something
A
to
little
work
extra.
with. I'm telling
Even
you,
narrower.
it was a total hack job. I banged on this C for 2.5 days. Ed stood there and watched me hit this with that great big old 20-pound sledge for 2 days. It looks like it's been in multiple bombing raids.
Okay, so that took a beating.
But I think this is machined enough that we don't have a problem there. I don't know.
Alright, so match this length from here to here.
Here, I've got an even better idea. Forget about measuring off that. Let's measure off the real deal.
Push it in.
Mhm.
And see what? When the center line of that hole lines up with your kingpin axis?
Yeah. Is that a 1/2 inch? You want to shorten that a 1/2 inch? Oh yeah, it's not in line.
Yeah,
We got to cut it
no,
a
I
1/2
see.
inch. Okay, I'm leaving this up to you. Cut exactly 1/2 inch.
Alright. This doesn't mean that I agree with what we're doing or think this is right or okay. This is just, Ad asked me to do something, and I'm just doing it.
That sounds like a disclaimer.
Alright, it's done. I'm gonna clean up these edges. We'll put it in.
I want to look factory.
So nobody will know what we did?
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay, well let's go put it in and see if it bottoms out.
Alright.
Oh, it's the right length.
Yeah, if anything, it looks like it's in a little bit.
Okay, you heard it here first, folks. Perfect. All right, we put our axles together with a hammer and some sockets a couple of episodes back. We got a lot of comments about why wouldn't you put it together with a press? You have a press right there, do it professional. Some even went as far to say, I understand you would do that if you were out on the trail, but you guys were in a shop. Well, to that I say,
You're right.
why don't we do it the way that we would have to do it 99% of the time, 100% of the time?
We've assembled all of the wrong tools to do this job. Here we go.
No.
You're not supposed to
You didn't
have
say
it
it the
that.
right way. The right way is, we're gonna do the right thing the wrong way again. Give them a little stress relief. peening. And then you got to make sure all the gears are there. First gear, second gear, third gear, fourth gear. Reverse. I do get comments about junkyard engines like, why are you using those worn out junkyard engines? You're going to regret that. I'm like, go outside in your driveway, pop the hood of your car. You're looking at a used engine. Okay, we got this bearing all packed up with grease, overpacked.
We had a great discussion about our favorite color of grease, and we decided it's not brown, but that's what we have.
Tell me in the comments, what is the best wheel bearing grease? Is it Lucas Red and Tacky, or is it something else?
Mobile One,
We've been running,
Amsoil.
yeah, we've been running the Synergy grease. I have no reason to believe it's not good grease.
But it's brown.
It's-
it looks used already. It
It
comes out looking used.
Yeah, so
Not satisfying.
I was talking to Tom about how much I hated greasing these when I put them back together, and he theorized that it was because of the color of grease that I'm using.
Yeah, it would bring you more joy if it was red.
Okay, you want to put the whole hub on?
The whole hub.
Okay. Nice and slow. Slow and steady. That one's in better shape. We've been waiting for this, if it's what I think it is. Yeah. We got our last one. Let me show you where this goes. All right, we'll be able to get this right there, and we'll have all of our fair leads on there. So yeah, this is the one that broke. Remember when it broke and we had to weld it together? It's holding.
Yeah.
This knuckle's going on the shelf of spare parts. All right, what's next?
Brakes.
Yeah, let's put the brakes on this thing. Let's put the tire
Put
on.
your tire on and drive it around and live happily knowing that it's not about to come apart.
Yeah. Well, Ed, we got it done. One side, 50%.
It's a job just doing that one part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Glad it all went back. I
Yeah.
didn't get to inspect it, so let's see if it turned.
We get a few comments about how nobody torques lug nuts correctly, and crisscross is correctly, but there's not like a real science behind it. There's just a technique. But the last time you go around, you always go in a circle. That way you know you don't miss any of them. I'll show you. That's how we do it. Now, something that we did, we filmed it, but it never made it to video. We were working on something, and Tom torqued one side of the machine with a torque wrench, and I did the other side with an impact wrench, and then he checked my work, and I was within 2 or 3 foot-pounds of what he was.
He was. Matt has enough experience that when he tightens those by hand, he gets them very close to where they need to be. Other people sometimes go way too tight with the impact wrench, and then you have to take it off later when you have a problem, and it's super hard to get off with the cheap wrench that comes in your car.
Not only that, when you over tighten them, it galls the threads. So not only are you fighting the torque, you're fighting the mechanical friction of damaged threads. That's how we do it here. I wouldn't do it that way if I were you. I would do it the right way. But that's how we do it here. Not all of us. Some of us do it different, and that's just fine.
Got it done before it started raining.
All right, we are just cleaning up tools, and we will be back. How fast is it going to be? Show us.
This fast.
All right, I finally got done with all my boring meetings, and we're headed back here. We had lunch.
Had lunch, had a little meeting, now we're going back.
Yep, we're heading back here to Holly's. We're going to be working on the Jeep here. That's how you know you're at the right place. I'm going to go in without even knocking. All right, before we get working on the Jeep, I have an order of business to take care of.
Okay.
Okay. Never been so nervous in my life. Oh no.
Woo! Yeah, of course I will.
Okay, so if we take second place, it's the
No,
spotter's fault, right?
always. So we'll be first. Don't worry. Don't
Okay,
worry.
let's get to work on this.
Okay, that's our first saddle. We got to make like 12 of these.
So I just did some practice TIG welding, and it's a lot more different on steel, and this is the first time I've done it standing up. I'm usually sitting down where I'm super stable and have a place to rest my hands. And so it's not super perfect and super even, so I'm gonna see if I can find a place to sit down and get a really good bead when I weld on the caps on the end of the rock sliders.
All right, we've got to notch the body so that each one of these can get in there. So we're gonna have to get in here with a grinder or plasma cutter or something so that we can get these up in there, and then enough room for the welder to get up in there and weld them all in place.
So what we did last time was
Oh man, are we doing this?
You're pretty good with one of those.
That's my first time ever using one.
Good job.
I had to hack that thing out with a plasma cutter. Look at that. So for those of you that think this is Mischief Maker, it's not Mischief Maker. This is Nessie. Decided that we're gonna use this as our guide. We're gonna get all these tacked on, and then it should work. So what we've got here is some rock sliders that Tom just welded up, and now he's got to tack them on. That's what we're going to do next. All right, our work here is done. Good morning. It is another day of working in the shop. We're working on the wrecker, and we have a deadline. Not only do we have the wrecker, but we have Johnson Valley, King of the Hammers. We're trying to get this truck to and get it shook down. We're going to climb Chocolate Thunder. Mark my word.
If we get it done.
If we get it done.
All right.
But that's what we're working on today. So we've got a little hiccup right here. So last summer, Colt from Bleepin' Jeep was here, and he needed a winch, and I gave him one off of the wrecker, and he bolted it to his buggy and took it home. Now he's in South Dakota. But Harbor Freight made us a winch controller based off of that winch. So this one doesn't work with the winch controller. So we've got to take the brain out of this one, send it to Colt, and he's got to send us the other brain back.
So when you hit the homing button, it could drag his vehicle all the way from North Dakota back here.
That would be a sight.
So
this
that
is
what
the.
goes. Okay. Do these just unplug? They do, huh?
All right, so I think we're gonna start with the steering ram limiters. That's number one. Number two is gonna be the brake lock solenoids, and then the shock reservoir. We need to revisit that because like that was like a week ago, and we still haven't completely finished it. But I'm gonna make that 3 because it's just what I'm gonna do. We're gonna align it, make sure that it's aligned. 77 1/4. Let's do this on the front now. Okay, this one we are 76 5/8. So we're off 3/8 of an inch. We're towed in 3/8.
That's not horrible for a 54-inch tire. What do you want to be?
On this rig, I'm thinking closer to 0, like in like an 1/8 of an inch.
In an 1/8.
All right, so we've got lots of RAM to work with here. We've got more RAM than we need, so we're hitting the steering stop, before we run this in. So we've got to limit that because these rams there's enough energy that even though the wheel hits the knuckle out here hits the steering stops, the ram can just keep going, and the pressure's gonna go somewhere. It won't end well for us. So we're gonna build them out of this. So we're gonna get some measurements here. We're gonna write them down and then cut them to those measurements. All right, Lizzie's here. Look at this.
I'm here. And it's time to work on the wrecker.
Yeah. So what we're doing is we're getting the steering stops figured out. All right, so this is as far as the wheel will turn right here. I'll show you. That's the steering stop right there. That's how much ram is left out over. So we're gonna have to put something in between here that hits the end of the ram. And then we're gonna have to come over the other side and do it. And that'll be how we center the ram, and then how we do the alignment is gonna be out here. So that'll be a fixed quantity to steer it all the way the other way. Is that all the way? We are on the steering stop right here on this side. So that's a factory setting. Assuming that it's accurate, not gonna check it. So I could make them both 2 3/16 and then adjust from there. That's what I'm gonna do. So we get comments all the time that the metric system is better for measurements like this. And I'm genuinely curious how you say it. Do you say like it's gonna be 4 decimeters and 3 millimeters? Like how do you break that down? Like how would you call out for this? We're gonna call this 2 1/4 inches. So how would you say this? Would you do it in total millimeters, like it's 54 millimeters, or would you do it's 9 centimeters and 3 millimeters? On the more fine measurements, do you fraction your millimeters? Would you ever say like it's 2.5 millimeters or 2 7/8 millimeters? I don't know. I'm curious. Do you know, Tom?
I don't think they ever use decimeters.
They don't. We learned decimeters.
I know, they taught it to us, but I don't think they use them. I've never heard them use decimeters.
Okay. So decimeters are out. They exist, but we pretend they don't.
I think they go millimeters until you're like way into the hundreds, and then they'd start saying centimeters.
Oh, so it'll be
But I don't
like
know.
200 millimeters.
Yeah.
But they measure their car wheels in inches. Most of them. I know there's some metric ones because I've seen a metric
Yeah.
tire before. This is the way these go. Look at that. That is a precision piece.
Nice. So how do they fit on here?
Well, we're about to find out. Like that.
Okay. Does that still thread in nice? That is beautiful.
We have confidence in our measurement. So much confidence that we're going to put this together the first time with red Loctite. Because that's how we do here at Matt's Off-Road Recovery. We're gamblers.
That we are.
And if there's anything Kenny Rogers has taught me, it's that gamblers break even.
It's knowing what to throw away.
And knowing what to keep.
See, Lizzie knows.
She knows the secret.
Okay, we're going to start these zeroed out. We're going to be definitely towed in. And then we'll just go through that whole process again. Let's pin it. Pin it to win it.
Right here is where the steering stop is that we put in, and this is the ram, and you can see that it's hitting all the way around. So we cut it nice and square. Lizzie welded it up good.
And then there's the factory stop right there. We've got 1/100th of an inch of clearance on it. Perfect.
Did we? Just a tiny bit?
I can't even see it. I'm just assuming that there's some. Okay, let's go this other way. Okay, right there.
How's that one look?
Identical. We are at 77 1/8 on the
Okay.
nose. And this is 77 15/16. We're barely towed in.
3/16.
That's on a tire this big.
That's, yeah, a normal size tire, you'd have half that much toe.
Yeah.
So less than 1/8 of toe on a regular 30-inch-ish tire.
Okay, well, I get to write the specs on the wrecker, and I say that the toe in is 3/16 of an inch on the front and 0 on the rear.
Perfect.
Perfect. Okay, grab your wrench and tighten those all up, I guess.
All right.
All right, now that we got the front done, everything's all tightened up, we're gonna go do the back.
We've had these together and apart a whole bunch of times, but that was the final time. This thing is ready to go. The toe end's set correctly, the stops are set correctly, everything's torqued down. We won't take this piece out again, right?
Correct. All right, it's gonna be the same process on the rear, so we're just gonna get after it.
Little more, stop. That should do it.
That's close enough. We're thinking we want the rear set at like 0 toe in, but we're trying it at 1/16 of an inch. That's like 1/4 of a degree or less.
With tires this big, yeah.
It's
that's
effectively
pretty
0.
much 0.
Okay, we're gonna show you what this looks like now. We have got the toe in set, and we've got the steering stop set, and everything is tightened up.
Okay, we are gonna play with that until the battery's dead and then move on to something else.
That's a good idea. All right, we are back from the world's weirdest, longest, shortest not lunch,
Yeah, it was a working lunch.
but just in like short bursts, like, but not on the wrecker.
Kind of like pliers. We did a little bit of everything, but nothing really well.
But now everything's going to change. We are going to turn into precision machines, off-road wrecker building machines.
Very
starting now.
focused, purposeful.
Mhm.
Here we go.
Loctiting. We're going to be loctiting things.
Oh yeah.
Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to install the airbags finally for the final time for the. So I think we should put them in with Loctite.
Because that means it's final.
Yeah.
All right. All right. We're gonna go with blue Loctite on these because we're pretty sure they're not coming out again, but not 100% sure. And that's what blue Loctite's for. Okay, that's gonna drive you crazy. It's like a punching bag. That's nice. I like that.
We should have got that working a long, long time ago.
Whoa, whoa! What? Something rattled loose when you were. Oh.
We need a new one of those. It was just kind of hanging here and then it went down untouched. So we need a new one of those.
Whew.
Whew.
The whole, yeah, that's.
Yeah, we need a new one of those. All right, back to what we were
That
doing.
scared me.
Okay, let's put a shock in here.
All right. So we got to see if the shock's gonna fit when it's steering. We haven't steered it with the shock in, have we?
Yeah. We gotta see why
All
why this isn't gonna work and why we're gonna have to do something different.
Okay, let's find out. There we go. Oh, nice. Does not hit at all when you're flat.
When you're not articulated, it doesn't hit.
That's good.
Ooh, but it's close.
How far up are we gonna make it before we?
It's basically the touching. This lug would touch it. So there was talk about when we do this back one, we'll rotate the shock so that this hose is back here.
What if you just didn't have a reservoir? What would happen?
These shocks aren't designed. They would go to being an emulsion shock, and we would have to fill them with less. But these are designed the way they're designed. If they were an emulsion shock, they would be taller.
Oh, because it'd be.
Because you want to keep the thing in there.
If we flipped the shock around and kept it piggyback, and just reworked the back of this, how much work is that? Is that a ton of work?
It's like 15 minutes with the plasma cutter. This is plenty strong.
Just leave the back open?
Yeah, just cut the back open. I think we should cut down and look at it. That's what I think we should do.
What? Just cut it?
Just start cutting.
Just start cutting.
Yeah. Well, let's kind of mark it.
Chopping up the world's largest off-road record. We're just gonna start cutting holes in it.
Okay, let's get these cut. Let's just do it. That's about how it will set at ride height.
That's the outer.
How's that?
That's good. Are you centered in the slot?
Yeah.
Front and back?
Okay, so this is gonna work. We have some tight tolerances right here. I'll show you. They're right there. So we've got about a 1/2 inch of clearance on this side, just a little over 1/2 inch on the other side. We got 3 positions here. We can put them on the bottom. So this is like maximum out, but man, look how far in that got us. That got us way in. That bought us over 3 inches. Now we're just gonna have to articulate it and see if that's gonna work. I think it is. So last time, this was touching the reservoir. Now we've got a good 3.5, maybe 4 inches. That's a ride height. We're gonna lose that when we articulate, but I'm very optimistic. That was a huge upgrade. If we can do the same thing up front, then we can piggyback the reservoirs again. I think we can do it. It's gonna take significantly more work, which means cutting this cross member out, redoing all this, and then reconfiguring how this cross member is attached. But I think it's worth doing. I think that is the answer. All right, what I've decided to do today is we're just gonna finish the back 100% before we start tearing the front apart. I wanna make sure that it's absolutely gonna work and exactly how much we need to cut out. Then I can see if we can do it on the front. So we're gonna put the cab back on the chassis, and then we're gonna articulate this all the way left and all the way right and see what those shocks are doing. Go down, get down. Here, I'll pet you for a second. Okay, come on, get down. Okay, stay down. She's pretty enthusiastic about the work that's going on here. Like Tom says, out of everybody that wants the record done, Peanut wants it done the worst. Okay, go up.
You're stretching.
So it's not hitting, it's gonna work.
This is gonna work amazing.
Yeah.
This is a huge fix for a really bad problem.
I might not look very relieved, but I am crazy relieved here. Let me run this steering and see.
Okay, you just bumped the bump stop, and there's a knob touching right now. Barely touching. Touching.
Oh, it's touching both of them. If we do a bunch more grinding and cutting and move this to the middle setting down there,
That would totally
that
fix
will
this problem.
solve all that.
This I
problem.
think you could round too. The springs.
Yeah.
If we just rounded this off right here, Well, we can try the other way too.
We'll
But
go
just
the other way.
rounding that would fix that. Okay, you just barely touched. We can easily round that to get an inch of clearance.
Okay, so we don't need to move the spring inboard. We just want to cut this back like an 1.25 inch radius.
Just radius
it.
it, yeah, just smooth.
Okay. So Tom, look at this articulation. Almost 12. By the time that's compressed, we're going to be at 12 degrees. And the front's probably going to be 14 degrees. So that's a total 26 degrees of articulation. I wonder what the MORR has.
45.
45 degrees. What is the front doing right now? Oh, it's already picked that wheel off the ground. Yeah, so we're hanging off of this limit strap right now. The evil plan is to just cut this whole cross member completely out. We're gonna lop these off. Lop-a-dop-a-dop-a-doo, just gone. And then just cut this all out.
Oh, what about all this?
Then we'll get another piece and it'll be straight and it'll just go straight across into here. And we'll make it out of thicker material. I'm always worried about how thin I made this.
Like,
all right, we got a lot done, I feel like. What did we get done? Let's see here. We've got our airbags in here. They're mounted with Loctite. We figured out how we're gonna solve all of the shock problems, except for we've got to fill the shocks back up with the right amount of oil. With
we
no
created
air.
a few new problems,
Yeah.
but we can fix those.
We've got the wheels aligned. We've got the tie rods. Everything's adjusted, tightened up.
Steering stops, left
steering
and right,
stops,
both
left and
ends,
right.
front and back.
Yeah. Well, this was awesome. We are, man, we're not going to stop working on it, but we are going to cut this video. We really appreciate you guys tuning in and checking us out. Thanks for watching.